it is very important for us that our local community is actively involved in all the processes during the war. So today we will talk with our Lviv Honorary Ambassador, Anдрій Bazilevich, who is actually actively involved in all the medical stuff, so we will talk more.
Good afternoon, Mr. Andrій.
Good day.
You're one of the initiators who, in fact, are currently working in medical directions, and you are the president of the World Federation of Ukrainian Medical Associations. So how do you work with partners? We know that many cargoes with medical equipment and medicines have also come to Lviv. So how does this idea come up, and who is involved in all the processes? Well, we have many different directions. One of the main ones is to help with various medical equipment, medical means, and means that save our fighters. And this idea arose in the leadership of the World Federation of Ukrainian Medical Associations. The association is an organization that brings together 10 million doctors from all over the world. Also, such organizations as the European Forum of Medical Associations joined, and the Standing Committee of European Doctors. And this organization has established a Ukrainian fund to help Ukraine and has begun to raise funds. To date, they have already raised about 2 million euros. And this money has gradually been distributed and spent for the following things. It was to purchase the first aid kits that we needed to protect the fighters. This is a large number of turnstiles that we have now needed in order to provide for our military and can be used in any situation. They have the opportunity to stop the bleeding, to have given the opportunities to save lives. Also, this cargo contained a large number of antibiotics, strong drugs, homeostatic, painkillers, and they were also admitted to the Lviv city territorial hospitals and then distributed among all other hospitals in Lviv. The third direction of this cargo contained mannequins that help us to master the skills and teach our skills to the fighters of the doctors who are on the battlefield, so that they can effectively work out these skills to provide assistance. If we talk about this cargo, that it was covered, the first cargo was $620,000. The next one is being prepared, and it has been quite logistically planned so that the Israeli Medical Society has taken on this mission of logistics and shipment, because by this time in Europe, there was no possibility to buy these turnstiles and first aid kits. The Israeli Medical Society flew a plane to Warsaw with the cargo, and then it came to Lviv. Even this shipment was accompanied by the past president of the World Medical Association, as well as the president of the Israeli Doctor Society, who was from 2007 till 2018, Professor Leonid Edelman. He himself came to Lviv. He had a meeting with the head of the Lviv Oblast Military Administration and had a meeting with the mayor, Andriy Sadovy. And these are the same as it was on the second day, that the airstrikes on Lviv, and thereby showed that the physicians should help physicians and not be afraid of the challenges that we have, because together we can do something and together help each other. Thank you for this answer. You mentioned mannequins about the first aid courses. We also saw some information on your Facebook. Tell us about those who organize courses. Who came up with this idea? In fact, there are more than 5 teams in Lviv, even whole instructor groups, instructor teams who conduct training in several groups. It was to help directly to the needy and those who want to master this knowledge. The civilian population. This was carried out in 2 places. It's in the Warriors' House at Korolenko Street. And there was 3 teams of instructors who worked. This is an emergency medical team of the Lviv region. It is in the team of the Medical College of Postgraduate Education, and this is the Red Cross team. They are the first, in fact, this decision was made before the war to start preparing. And in fact, from the second day, these training sessions were already held. Then the Lviv Medical Academy joined this initiative. A medical college named after Andrei Kupinsky also provided training to civilians and the territory defense. Our team is the team of the Lviv National Medical University and the World Federation of Ukrainian Medical Associations. They formed a separate team that has trained medical staff, physicians, students, and as well as interns. That is, we took a slightly higher level of training. We followed the principle of providing tactical casualty combat assistance, known as TCCC, which can and should be done by a medical worker on the battlefield or a paramedic and military paramedics. So we took this course a little bit higher. And one more team is made up of doctors from Lviv National Medical University who prepare. They go to the military objects, to territorial defense fighters, and train them at their place. That is such a whole system, as well as there is many other volunteer centres that teach not only in Lviv, but also in the Lviv region, where emergency medical workers teach the necessary knowledge and skills. And what is important is the practical training, and everybody must independently, with his own hands, stop the bleeding, turn patients, close with a warm blanket so that there is no hypothermia. The processes are worked on tactical trainings. Thanks for your answer, because this is an extremely important part of what is happening. Because first aid provided on time saves lives. You are a member of the international organisations. You are a member of many international organisations and associations. So how did your international colleagues react that we have a war in Ukraine? Since the early days, the world medical community, the Standing Committee of European Doctors, as well as the European Forum, expressed their letters of support. So they condemned the aggressor and they expressed support for Ukraine to the Ukrainian doctors in a difficult situation. It was a political and important mission. Some organizations even excluded from the ranks of their associations Belarus and Russia, because they were aware that the Russian aggressors is not only Putin, it is also the society in which, let's say, he was raised, the game of his creation, but also the society of Russian and Belarusian. But also the Russian and Belarusian societies. They make it possible for the dictators to do what they do. It was very important when associations suspended or excluded Russia and Belarusian associations from their activities and vice versa, but they gave more preferences to Ukrainian associations and gave them the opportunity to pass trainings for free and founded opportunities and conduct and be participants for free of charge at conferences and provided them an opportunity to build their own platforms in order to make a difference so that they can show their situation is in Ukraine. Thank you. This is also our information battlefield, and it is very important and such a diplomatic one. I would even say that condemnation and exclusion are the direct sanctions against those doctors and of those members of scientific organizations who do nothing, with whom silent agreement or even support these events that are happening in Ukraine. Yes, I agree with you. The World Federation of Ukrainian Medical Associations and European Forum of Medical Associations help Ukraine a lot. In fact, you said there was $1 million worth of medicines. So where do these medicines get directed to in addition to the course? So the medicines, such as powerful, strong drugs, go directly to the hospital. It was necessary to have their own temperature regime, from 20 to 50 degrees, and they weren't necessary at once. They were here faster than the rest of the medicine. They were distributed and they are available to all medical institutions in the Lviv region.
Інший вантаж поступав на склади Львівської обласної військової адміністрації, і там
Lviv Oblast received other cargo at the warehouses of the Lviv Oblast military administration, and there it was distributed to anyone who needed it from all over Ukraine. That is, the warehouse that has its own logistics and distributed where needed for military administrations of other regions, or for the needs of volunteers, or for the needs of hospitals.
Перші допомоги фактично зразу пішли на передову, зразу пішли на воєнізовані об'єднання Львівщини, тому що вони були в першу чергу необхідні. І ці речі дійсно зразу рятували наших бійців.
That is great. And what other needs are not met? What else is important? This number was not enough. We have formed the following needs. These are turnstiles again. Hemostatic tourniquets again. These are first aid kits of a soldier. The first aid kits of a sanitary instructor or a paramedic. That is what a military paramedic must have with him or her to save their colleagues. This is what a military paramedic must have with them to save their colleagues. 15 to 20 people. It also remains necessary due to the risk of chemical attack that these are the antidotes. First of all, it is an atribin. These centres are still lacking. And now, due to the large number of patients with traumatic injuries, these are not enough tools for traumatic operations. For trepanation of the skull, for vascular operations. These are necessary not only the medications but also the tools. Without it, we cannot provide quality, qualified and prompt care to patients. Thank you. I hope our event organisers heard that. There may be some additional help. I would like to say that there is another direction. We are now providing assistance to our patients from international organisations and clinics. They offered our patients treatment and rehabilitation, both to soldiers and civilians. We are establishing communication so that, on the one hand, we can quickly find patients who need it, who meet the capabilities of clinics. On the other hand, to those clinics that are willing to take such patients, as well as logistics, transportation of these patients. It is an aid in difficult clinical situations, especially rehabilitation. Now, the Birmingham clinic has offered to rehabilitate up to 100 patients. We are preparing to send the first 10 patients to them. We also have a colleague in the United States who often helped us and came to Ukraine. This is Gennady Fazilo. He has now admitted the first patient. This is a military man after an injury. And so many countries, the Austrian clinic, which is ready to accept at the expense of the Vienna City Hall. I can't name them all. There are really a lot of them. This direction is very important. Another area is the opportunity to treat us with the help of our colleagues. The American company that has provided free virtual reality devices that allow the doctors to show the patient who works with the patient he does. The American company has provided free virtual reality devices that allow the doctor to show the patient who works with the patient what he does and how he does it. He can communicate with his colleagues in real time and suggest or discuss a situation. Colleagues see through the eyes of the surgeon everything that the surgeon does. At first, there were 4 such devices. The first 2 weeks, they were used in the emergency hospital in Lviv. Currently, another 35 such devices are distributed throughout Ukraine. It is already in Odessa, Mykolaiv, and Kyiv. These devices help to heal better. I would also like to say that we are grateful to our colleagues who have set up field hospitals. In Lviv, they have been treated by an American team of doctors. In the Lviv region, in Mostiska, there is an Israeli field hospital, which has already conducted 2 staff rotations. They provide very efficient and high-quality care to refugees who have been at the border and to patients living in the surrounding area. I have been there 3 times and seen how necessary it is, how well the teams work, and how much it allows us to unload our hospitals, to help with other methods. They also train our doctors. Ukrainian doctors have the opportunity to come to study with them. They conduct training and are happy to communicate with our doctors. Thank you for such a great and open answer. One last question. We have applied for the EFMA conference together with you. In 2022, this conference has been held in Lviv. What is the current mood of your partners? Will there be an online conference? What is the current situation? Indeed. This conference has been postponed twice since 2020 due to the pandemic. We were already convinced that in May we had chosen such a time that the almost crazy period was to stop. And really, it stopped. But other events began for us. And we had not rejected this idea now. We just talked to the leaders of the European Forum of Medical Associations about whether to hold the event or not. In fact, they would come and not be afraid. This was shown by the head of the Israeli Medical Society. It is possible. We said that hotels had the opportunity to host, and there are conference halls where to hold, and doctors are not afraid. The problem is a lack of planes and connections to Lviv and Ukraine. It is a logistical issue. This idea had not been rejected. It was supposed to be in May, but they had to decide, if we do, it will be a hybrid event. We would spend time in the studio with the doctors and professors who can come, and the rest would join online, as it is during the last forums. Still, our colleagues who help us, who dream of visiting Lviv, Ukraine, will insist on postponing or making it possible to have transport to come to Ukraine. We have already thought about the logistics arrangements from either Warsaw or Krakow. I think this issue will depend on many reasons. We still have a week to see how events will develop politically, the negotiation process, which is a threat to our colleagues. They have to make that decision. We are waiting for them. We invite everyone to Lviv to hold conferences here. Not only this one, any conferences, because Lviv is a city to discover. Lviv is also open in scientific terms. Lviv is rich with museums, rich with history, and rich with people who want to see you here in Lviv. Thank you, Mr. Andriy, for such a conversation. Sincere and great. We hope that the whole world will support us. It has already done a lot. Everything will be fine. Ukraine will win, together, to victory. Thank you.